kind of feel you, the less you really need to compare yourself with anyone else. And it's hard not to compare, because that's how we grew up, right? Get A's compared to the other guy that got C's. And play the piano, for me it was play the piano better than my brother, which I never could accomplish. Or, you know, you'll be the fairest of all in the land. You know, but God doesn't view it that way at all. I mean, think of it, when you pray and you journal and you have this relationship with God, does He ever compare you to someone else? But we always do, or we often do. So I think one thing I would really pray for today is that we can be more centered on Him and not get our bearings by how other people are doing and how we compare to them, or even how we think we should be doing. We need new eyes, right? The more we can see God for who He is and how He feels about us, the more centered we're going to be. The more, wow, honored that God wants to have a relationship with me. He craves it, He desires it, He died for it. I mean, we've all heard that all our lives, or most of us have, except for Jeff. Well, you know, Jeff, you're like one of the most amazing people. I didn't even get to talk to you much, but I admire you so much. God, Jesus is so real in you. And you really ministered my heart when you worship. I mean, you guys think about that. You know Jeff, right? This is what God can do. Takes a kid in a family that doesn't know God at all, reveals Himself to him, and even in the midst, he can't leave that mess for a while, but in that midst, God's revealing Himself, pulls him out, and pours His life into Jeff. And look how beautiful the Spirit He has. Beautiful. And the gifts and anointings that you carry, they taste like God. And each one of you is like that. Each one. Each one. So beautiful. Like I could just look at each one of you and see your spirit, see your heart. Hearts of gold. And so many of you feel like, yeah, there's some gold, but there's a lot of junk too. But God doesn't see that part. Doesn't see that part because He made you righteous. And if you believe in the power of His blood, like you were praying that today, the power of His blood, so powerful. His blood washes over our heart. And then that's what He sees, the beauty of a blood-washed heart. And then He just feels so endeared toward you. He looks at you, He says, wow, I love my creation. I made you. Think of how proud He is. You know, we tend to think that God is like us. And if you're a parent, you can have some measure of how proud God may be by how proud you are of your child. But even then, you know, I have 3 kids. And a lot of it's a mixture, like... fear, or, you know, don't embarrass me. And so we tend to feel like that's how God feels about us. But God doesn't feel that way. Ever. He's not ever disappointed in you. Ever. Because He sees you from the end to the beginning. He knows your potential. When He looks on your heart, He sees the destiny that He put in there doesn't see, oh, well, 10 years ago, you really blew it with your husband or whatever. That's how we look at it. But we have to get to know God better. That's the whole key. How do we get to know God better? I want to think like God and see like God and feel like God instead of trying to be, and trying to work up an effort to be godly. It's exhausting. I grew up a church leader. My dad founded a church when I was born. And we all learned how to be really good church kids. I was in the choir, played the piano. Okay, Melina knows. And I was pretty good. I looked pretty good from the outside. But inside, so lonely. So lonely. I never felt like I was good enough. And I always felt like I was a disappointment to my parents. Even though they didn't say that, I felt like, but that's what a religious spirit does. You can never live up to it.